call to order the Florence City Council meeting, Monday, November 17th, 2025. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Counselor Van Houten.
Here.
Counselor Stiefel.
Here.
Counselor Mergelman.
Here.
Counselor Gardner.
Here.
Counselor Stone.
Here.
Counselor McKinnon.
Here.
Mayor Wolf.
Here. Item 3, public comment. Kathy Young. Make sure the button's green and name and address.
Hi, I'm Kathy Young, 220 East 6th here in Florence. Hello, all of you. I wanted to discuss a couple of issues, or just, I guess, make some suggestions. And I've made these to Steve earlier, and I've talked to John, our new maintenance person. I would like you all to think in terms of the future. I know it's really easy to kind of continue to do things as we've always done them. But when I looked at the budget and saw that we're looking at spending $56,000 on utilities for this building alone, I was just shocked. So what I'd like you to think about is the high school and the fact that they put in solar panels. And I don't know how much they're paying Black Hills these days, but they're not paying them $56,000. And I talked to Lori. I understand that I think she's combining propane, right, and electric, gas and electric. Yeah, so some of that I'm sure is for gas, but a big chunk of it is electric. So if you guys could, I'm just trying to plant a seed, if you could think towards some solar panels on the roof. I think we got plenty of space on the roof. The other issue I wanted to talk about, and I've talked to Brandon about this by phone earlier too, is the whole thing with the water. There's a big thing happening on Facebook. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to it, but people are really, really concerned about it because at the same time there's a stomach flu going around Florence. And so everybody's tying the two together thinking, oh, well, that's the reason I got sick, is because we've got a water issue. So I understand that he's going to be addressing that issue later, and I'll let him speak to that.
Okay.
Okay?
You bet. Thank you, Kathy.
Just real quick, I want to say, I think there was also a press release that just very recently went out regarding that issue, and I believe there's some copies of that press release back in the, oh, you got it. Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Item 4, consent agenda. Consider approving the written minutes from the last meeting, expenditures for November 6th and November 13th, and approving the liquor license for Quincy's. At this time, any of the city council members wish to pull any one of these consent agenda items? All right. Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through C?
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda A, B, and C.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 5, new business. Consider adopting an ordinance appropriating sums of money for the 2026 budget for the city of Florence. Finance Director.
Okay, good evening, council. Also was going to touch base on the PowerPoint. So under Colorado law, budget must be submitted and approved by the city council on an annual basis. Passage of this ordinance and the preceding related resolutions are necessary to fulfill our requirements for the first reading for the 2026 budget, which occurs prior to settling our mill levy by Fremont County. Prior to this first reading, we did have open public discussions regarding the city of Florence. We had that on Monday, September 15th. The work session focused heavily on determining the council's vision for 2026 and incorporation of our CIP projects. Public hearing for the budget was held during the October 25th City Council meeting as required by CRS. The proposed budget includes the following requests or necessary changes. So here are some of the changes from last to now, including our very exciting donation from Fremont County in our pool CIP for 2026. This decreased the general fund contribution, but did not affect the overall expenditures. Added the revenue projections for the SIP tax ballot that was approved on November 4th. This increased the revenues by $356,000 and total expenditures by $356,000. So balance those out. This is the exhaustive list of changes that were made to the prior budget from the public hearing. Attached, you'll see the ordinance, the proposed budget, and the presentation. There is a couple slides that I'd like to go over with you and go over the mill levy. Okay. Yes, please. If you could take us to Cortland, page the street fund expenditures. Yeah, exactly. Yep, that will show the balancing of the revenues and expenditures. So that is the change. Takes our revenue total to $741,600 and $735. None of the projects have been named yet. We'll bring that back to you next year with the street assessment as part of that program, but the funds are appropriated to do any of those projects that you choose fit once the budget's passed. And then the next one is the pool fund. The changes from back. There you go. So this one, the changes shows that the $122,561, we're still going to continue to use that MBS CD, the $100,000 donation from the county, the $76,000 from the pool park and fund, and then it leaves the general fund to offset by $15,000. Now, we have not heard from Black Hills as we put in for a grant for their community. If that could be a budget amendment if it's after the first of the year, or it could be prior to the emergency ordinance at the end of the year. So that could make that change. But CIP is $253,000, which fixes all the pool issues that we have. Very excited. All right. Budget vision. Yep. So here is the vision. The major change updated the street budget to reflect the passing of the ballot to balance those out. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the mill levy. As you know, we don't have the final certification. We'll get that at the end of the month, 1st of December. How we did the mill levy is I did use the temporary mill levy credit, which gives some relief to the property and the taxpayers as a one-time. I did that to where we could balance with that and balance without that additional sums, and then give a little break. Not sure how the final valuation is going to come in, so I wanted to make sure that we talked a little bit about that and you're okay with that, and understand it's just a one time. Each year it has to be renewed, so we're not changing anything except this one time. It's a tool used by local governments to provide short-term property tax relief or to manage year-to-year revenue fluctuations based on Tabor. And we talked a little bit about that in our session when we were doing our vision, but I wanted y'all to know that I still kept that in there. It could change based on that final valuation. We never know, but I did use that tax credit when figuring it. So I think that's good news. Now, it's not a total mill levy reduction, but it is a temporary tax credit that they'll see on their statement, and then they'll see that savings if it comes to that, but it is in there. Other big things, rate survey for the water. That's a big one that we'll do with professional services, because that one, as you'll notice, was really pumped up with some extra funds, so we can get some of those much needed surveys done. All right. Any questions? And we stayed within the theme of pool and park, public safety and police, and infrastructure. So the budget really reflects what the vision is at council with all the projects. And I think citizens will really enjoy seeing the pool fixed up, some more streets fixed up. We are done with all of our projects except a few small, low-hanging fruit in the streets. So we can look forward to another full year of projects next year. So this is just step one of the long process. There's 2 more steps. We have to certify the mill levy, do the resolution, and then the final ordinance in December. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah, council have any questions? No. Well, again, it's been such a great job keeping us updated and informed, and having us be part of this whole thing. We appreciate that very, very much during this whole process. Again, I'm excited for the city.
I am too. I'm excited to see all the good things happening. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anybody like to make a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance number 9, 2025?
I'll make a motion to adopt the first reading of ordinance number 9-2025, an ordinance appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agencies in the amounts and for the purposes set forth below for the city of Florence, Colorado for the 2026 budget year.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Counselor Gardner,
Yes.
Counselor Stone,
Yes.
Counselor Van Houten,
Yes.
Counselor Stiefel,
Yes.
Counselor Mergelman,
Yes.
Counselor McKinnon,
Yes.
Mayor Wolf.
Yes. All right, next, council updates. Gail.
Nothing.
Okay. Tammy?
I attended the merchant meetings and the Chamber of Commerce. I guess everybody's just getting ready for Christmas, so lots of activities to look forward to from both of those groups.
Brenda?
Nothing.
James?
Nothing to report.
Matt?
No report.
Rudel?
All I've been to is the mayor's roundtable out in Williamsburg.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it? Okay, I also attended the Mayor's Roundtable, and, it was a real good discussion on what's going on in all the different cities. I know, Canyon's looking for, the change they've got there at the mayorship and in the council. It's good to see, I think we've got some stability at the leadership of the other entities that are there, and it's just good to see the support we have back and forth for for all the groups. I visited the Midicus Industries plant that's going in east of town. That's the steel frame tiny homes. I never knew how big those buildings were out there for the old gypsum factory that was there. It is gigantic. I got a good tour of everything. They have their equipment for their cabinet making and their starting for their tiny homes on site there. That same day, they were hoping to get their certificate of occupancy from Fremont County. And as soon as they get that, they will start to install the equipment. There's just lots of moving parts out there and thoughts. I know they talked about it being one of the only railheads off of the main line coming through there. And they could be a transportation hub for companies bringing stuff in on rail and then only having to transport from there to industries around Fremont County here. Just exciting to see what's going on out there. It's taken a lot longer than what people thought, but I think that's just the way it always works. But
When are they expecting to make something?
it's one of those things where they have to install the equipment. There was a name for the special machine that it's sort of like you've seen like where somebody comes up and they put the seamless gutters up. They've got that roll there and they'll measure it out and they'll do a seamless gutter for 50 feet long and put it up on your house. Well, it's the same thing here. They program it all in computer and they've got the steel and it'll roll out the steel stud and it'll put the holes for electrical, for plumbing, for all of that stuff in the steel stud as it makes it. It's pretty fascinating. And we just hope that, I think it'll be add a lot to our economy. They've got big plans for the future. And it really was pretty impressive out there. So they have to install it all, then they have to do training. And they've got that all set up, ready to go. People will come in and train. They're looking at trying to partner with PCC for light manufacturing, get together with kids at the different schools so they could have some internships and the concurrent enrollment stuff and add to the economy of Eastern Fremont County and Florence. And they claim Florence, they're in the county, but they claim Florence. And if you want to look up their website, Midicus, M-Y-T-I-K-A-S, I think it is. It's a Greek term for some Greek god, I think, or something. But it's interesting going there. They've got a big vision. They've got a big vision for here. So that was good to see. All right. Interim City Manager.
That's all the stuff on Facebook. I think Brandon's going to come up and talk about the water and go from there. Yeah.
Okay. City Attorney.
Oh. I thought Brandon.
Oh, you want him to come up right now? Okay. Okay. All right. Sure.
So I wanted to speak for a few minutes about the violation letter that went out regarding our TOC violation. First and foremost, I want to reassure the public as well as council that there are no health risks involved with this. Our water quality remains excellent. This has nothing to do with the quality of drinking water. It was simply even our state compliance officer that I have to deal with all of our compliance stuff, realizes that this was a mix-up, like on the paperwork side, a clerical error. Whether that be the person collecting the samples labeled a bottle for raw water and filled it with treated water, and vice versa, or something like at the lab, they ran the sample for treated water, but put the results in the raw water section and whatnot. Regardless, the flip-flopped numbers got reported to the state, so that's what the state has to go off of. So that triggered this violation. Violations like this are just required. A Tier 2 violation requires public notice within 30 days. We got our letter October 21st, and we got the 2,000 letters printed, folded, stuffed in envelopes, labeled, and mailed by November 10th. Because, of course, we had to create the public notice. I always send it to the state, our state compliance officer, to make sure that all the required information is accurate and in there. I would hate to put something out that the state doesn't approve and have to redo something. So I always dot the I's and cross the T's with the state, and then we get the notification out. So to reiterate, there are absolutely no health risks associated with this TOC violation. TOCs stands for total organic carbons. Organic carbons in the water, an excellent example of organic carbons are, by a raise of hand, who drinks coffee and or tea? That is a perfect example of organic carbons in water. Water passes through or by tea leaves. It dissolves some of those organic carbons into the water, thus creating tea. Those are dissolved solids and organic carbons in water. Same thing with coffee beans. So the risk comes from if there's a good amount of organic carbons in the water, when we have our disinfection process, because we have to disinfect the water to make it safe for customers, for everyone to consume, it can react with those organic carbons in the water to create disinfection byproducts. These TOC samples, the state calls precursors to disinfection byproducts. It's just a way to see what the potential is for the amount of disinfection byproducts that we might see in our drinking water. We also sample for disinfection byproducts like total trihalomethanes and haloacetic acids. The compliance part for those disinfection byproducts goes off of a running annual average of test results. We have to sample at 2 locations in our system for our disinfection byproducts, and I took the highest running annual average out of the 2 sample sites. And for TTHMs, the maximum contaminant level is 80 parts per billion. Our highest sample running annual average, is 54.6, which is again far below the 80 parts per billion of the maximum contaminant level. And for haloacetic acids, the highest is 27.8, and the MCL, maximum contaminant level, is 60 parts per billion. So again, less than half of the amount allowed in the drinking water. So still no health concerns even from the disinfection byproducts themselves. I hope I answered most questions. If there are any more, please feel free to ask.
From the time you draw the water to send off, how many days is it before you get the results?
It depends on the laboratory. There's a certain amount of hold time for each different type of sample. It's obviously all our water, but if they're testing for different things, there's only a certain amount of hold time. I don't have the documentation in front of me, but I believe the hold time for TOCs might be 28 days. And for disinfection byproducts, I think it's 14 days. So that means it can sit in their fridge for up to, 14 days from when we take the sample before they have to test it. If it's outside of that window, then the sample's no good. We have to resample. And actually, earlier this year, we got a call at the end of the month. We're required to take samples at a certain time. And at the end of August for our disinfection byproducts, we got a call from the lab saying, your samples are outside the hold time. We need you to resample. So we had to rush a sample bottle order to Florence and resample at the end of August for them to be able to process the tests, run the tests, and get the results. Any results, any test taken in a particular month or any month, the results of those tests have to be reported to the state by the 10th of the next month. Make sense?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question if council will let me. Just would you say this is an example of the process working in the sense that you now have, increased testing requirements, notification requirements, but presumably that's all in the aim of, and I'll let you take it from there.
Yes. This is an example of exactly how the system's supposed to work. My only upset with this system is that some of the required language in these public notices, I feel, causes more fear in the public than necessary. There's statements that are required to be in these notices that can cause panic in the public without fully understanding the issue at hand. But again, I want to stress to the public, if there's a situation where the water is unsafe to drink or there's some kind of contamination or whatnot, the requirements for public notice is like 24 hours at that point. If it's a tier 3 violation, let's say, we have 24 hours to notify the public. Let's say there's a boil order. The water's not safe to drink. You need to boil it before consuming. We have to notify the entire public within 24 hours. It'll be on the radio. It'll be on the news. Reverse 911 calls. Blasted on the internet. Posted everywhere we can around town. It will be notified to the public without a shadow of a doubt. Don't drink our water just yet. So that's when that situation happens. But yeah, that's my only problem with the system how it is now. So that's it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Oh, Tom?
You want it this way, you want it that way, does it matter? Tom Pilding-Drude, I'm your water consultant, if you didn't know that. I work part-time, a few hours a week. I was here on another issue, but I thought maybe I could enlighten you a little bit. The city of Florence didn't even have a treatment plant until 1962. So if any of you were residents of Florence before 1962 and drank water, you drank haliocytic acids and trihalomethanes, whether you liked it or not. Before 1962, Florence would inject chlorine into water drawn from the Southfield Reservoir and send it to town. And there are horror stories about frogs coming through faucets, really bad tasting water, which is a result of an algae bloom in the summer. So, in 62, the city got its first treatment plant and actually filtered water. In 1974, Congress passed the Safe Water Drinking Standards Act. That is an act passed by Congress. They sent it to the EPA and said, develop standards. The EPA then did their magic over years and developed standards. The EPA then sends those standards to the states and says, you enforce them, and here they are. So when I was the city manager in the 2002-2003 time frame, we had 2 Trident treatment plants. One at the up at the Public Works, and the other out at where the current treatment plant is, the shells of which I think still remain. We were notified by the state that we were in violation for trihalomethanes and haliocytic acids in certain summer months at peak demand. Our plants were producing as much water as they could because of the addition of the new federal penitentiary complex, and because of algae blooms in the reservoir. We're treating those algae blooms with chlorine and creating disinfection byproducts, i.e. this acid and this trihalomethanes. Okay, so you were drinking those in the summer months in 2002, 2003, all the way from 1962, whether you knew it or not. I don't want to be too cynical here, but when the federal government decides to enforce standards and makes the state be the enforcer, the citizens are sometimes ends up being the payers, because we built a new treatment plant because we could not meet these standards in the summer, and because our treatment plants were maxed out for production. Our new treatment plant has dissolved air flotation, which is designed to take care of this disinfection byproducts problem. And as a result, I don't know of any violation that our treatment plant has ever had since it was enacted. This clerical error is exactly that, a clerical error. Our water is as good or better than anybody else's water in the entire state of Colorado, and I dare say the nation, because we have dissolved air flotation, we have a really new treatment plant, and we have Class A operators, not just one, but we have Class A operators, the highest standard you can make you can reach in the state as treatment operators. So I want to assure you that your water is safe. This was a clerical error. You're no longer drinking haliocytic acids and trihalomethanes, and the water is safe. I want to make sure that you understand that, because when your constituents call you because of some of the language that the state requires in these notifications, it can get people worked up. And we don't need that. Our water is safe to drink. Any questions for me? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All right. City attorney, anything?
Tough act to follow, but I would say, did you pronounce it Midikos?
Midikos.
Midikos is the highest peak of Mount Olympus, the tallest mountain in Greece, and its name means nose.
Okay.
That's it for me.
Okay. Carlin, City Clerk, anything to report?
On maybe just a slightly more serious note, our election is almost concluded. We have not received the certified election results, although I do say that the results are almost obvious. So more information to come soon in January, when we would reappoint all 3 of the positions. If you find any constituents that have any questions on clarification, please direct them to me. I'm happy to do so.
Thank you. All right, anybody have any reason to go in? Oh, Sam?
22 trees.
22 trees, all right.
22 trees.
Good.
I think that's pretty cool. He won't say that.
Yeah. Well, again, thanks to city and the city crew for their pickup of leaves. Again, one of those services. I talked to people from other cities because I was up in the Springs this weekend doing it for my sister, and it was like, they do what? And I said, yes. And again, thank you. And I know the citizens really appreciate it. Okay. Anything else? Any need for executive session? Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting passes, we're adjourned.